Alrighty, it is time for another DVD review, and today is the last day of September, which doesn't really mean anything special, except I guess Billy Joel Armstrong from Green Day is waking up today, or maybe tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to wait. He'll probably hit the snooze button. I know that's a really sad song, but I had to make the joke. Anyway, I'm going to start off by saying we have a new subscriber here at the Graveyard by the name of Molten Keister. So I think that's how you say that. I'm sorry if I've mispronounced it. So hello, I appreciate the subscription. So the movie we're going to be talking about today, I've already done a couple of other Tobe Hopper films. Some of my favorite ones, obviously Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Funhouse, and I think I've referenced this one. And this is actually his second movie, or I'm sorry, not his second movie, his next movie after Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And so if that gives it away, the movie we're talking about today is going to be Eaten Alive. So this movie came out in 1976, and like I said, this is a Tobe Hopper film. This is the 2-disc special edition from Dark Sky Films. I got this really cheap. I've had this for a while, but whenever I got it really cheap at a really good deal. I know there's like a Blu-ray and all that good stuff out now, but you know, I still buy my DVDs because I'm crazy. But it's got a lot of really good special features on it, and there's cool artwork behind this too. But and there's a little piece of foam that was in there from shipping that always almost falls out. But I'm so sorry. I do that so much. I'm sorry. But I got this on eBay, like I said, you know, a while ago. And like I said, this is a Dark Sky Films release. They're the one. They also did the Steelbook Texas Chainsaw Massacre DVD that I had in my first review, or that I still have, had for years. And I think they did the Blu-ray, which I also have as well. But you know, so they make some really nice DVDs, a lot of really good special features. I really, I have a couple other ones. Can't really think of off the top of my head. I think one of the Hatchet films is Hatchet 2, and maybe Hatchet 3 is a Dark Sky Films release. But anyway, it's irrelevant. But this movie, like I said, is it's directed by Tobe Hopper. It came out in 1976. It stars Robert Englund, of all people, Marilyn Burns, Neville Brand as Judd, and Mel Ferrer, which we just talked about. Old Mel Ferrer, I guess is how you say that. I'm not sure. We actually just talked about him in the Antichrist in that film, which is a really good movie. Check that movie out too. So anyway, this movie, you know, despite that cast that I just named, you know, Marilyn Burns and Robert Englund, you know, specifically, Robert Englund has actually a very, very minor role in this movie. It's, you know, it starts out you thinking that he's going to be a bigger part of it, but you know, he's actually a very minor role, and Marilyn Burns plays a little bit bigger of a role, but the whole movie really focuses more on Neville Brand, which is Judd, the character of Judd, the guy on the cover here. And so this movie basically, it starts out with it's at a whorehouse, and Robert Englund is about to, you know, make whoopee with this. I love when people say that. He's about to screw around with this freaking prostitute at this whorehouse, and he's wanting her to do stuff that she doesn't want to do. So she gets upset, he gets mad, and she gets up and takes off and leaves, and she runs off into the woods, and then comes across this hotel, which is, I believe it's called the Starlight Motel, or Starlight Hotel, or whatever, you know, whatever it's called, and it's owned by Judd here, and it's in rural, I have a hard time saying that, it's in rural Texas, which is kind of where I live in Texas as well, you know, so I enjoy that kind of, you know, movies that take place here. A lot of them don't get it right, but anyway, so she comes across this hotel that's run by Judd, and he sees her, and I guess he has a thing against, I don't know if it's just women. I mean, he obviously has some issues with women for sure, but he, you know, mainly, you know, a lot of his stuff is like he doesn't want people having sex in his motel, I guess is where it goes, and he's all against, he knows that she's a prostitute, you know, from Miss Hattie's place, which is, you know, the whorehouse up the road. And you know, so he basically just loses his mind and he kills her, and yeah, and then it kind of just moves on from there, you know, and it comes out the next day, and you know, a whole, the whole kind of cast shows up. And one thing I forgot to mention, by the way, is he mentions it, but whenever you first kind of when the family gets there, something something happens, and then it's revealed that Judd has a crocodile that lives out in front of his little hotel, and basically everybody just kind of gets there to the hotel, and the family has this kind of run in with the crocodile. Again, I'm not going to say what happens exactly, but and then it just kind of spirals from there, and you're just kind of following the events of the day, going on at this hotel run by this crazy guy, out in the middle of nowhere, who owns this crocodile. So that is kind of the concept that drew me to this movie when I was reading about it. Was the crazy man who owns the hotel out in the middle of nowhere in Texas, who has this killer crocodile that he kills and feeds people to, and so I thought that was a really interesting concept, and I think it's really done really interesting in this movie, and the crocodile actually looks really cool. Of course it's fake, it's like a puppet or whatever, and but it still looks awesome. I love it. Now, like I said earlier, this is Tobe Hooper's next movie after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but to me it feels, and it is also feels the most like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like there's a similar vibe to it, because the whole movie, and not exactly the same, of course, but I just feel like the next movie after this one, which is the Fun House, it kind of has that little, I don't know, I guess it's just a Tobe Hooper thing, and maybe Tobe Hooper also has a thing for crocodiles, by the way, because he also directed Crocodile, later on. Anyway, I'm getting off track here, but this movie has that similar, just kind of weird vibe to it. Like the whole movie just has this strange kind of feeling about it. A lot of the characters are really strange. The hotel is really strange. Even during the day in this movie, all the daytime scenes have this weird red light on everything. Like everything is just red. Like it's like they had a big spotlight that's just it was just red. I mean, that's all I can really describe it as. Like and it's not the whole movie that's like that. Of course, the night scenes are very dark, and there are actually some scenes are very dark. I was saying kind of weird to or kind of hard to see in some scenes, but I think that just kind of adds to it. But it has this really weird feeling about it, and all the people that come to the hotel are very strange, and like Robert Englund, like I said, he has a minor role in this movie, but he's just a piece of shit. He's he's an asshole, in this movie. And then of course you get Marilyn Burns, and she doesn't really do a whole lot in this movie, but again, like I said, it kind of shifts to her in the end, and she ends up kind of being, the final girl character, I guess, kind of, sort of, in a way. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but and a lot of the, and some of the other characters I forgot to mention that show up at this hotel, they're looking for the girl that went missing from Miss Hattie's place, and, they're checking around and seeing, trying to find out where she is, and it's kind of like in the same vein as Psycho a little bit in that, aspect, I guess, is that it's sort of got a little murder investigation kind of going on in the background, but it's just, there's not really a lot going on in this. I mean, there kind of is, but again, like I said, it's just kind of just hanging around this hotel all day and seeing Judd do these weird things, but it has this weird vibe to it. Again, like it has, like I said, it's the closest feeling film that Tobe Hooper, to my knowledge, that I've seen anyway, that has that Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe, that just weird, uncomfortable kind of, all the characters are strange, including not just the main guy, and he's really great too. He's a great character. He's kind of again, there's not really a whole lot to him. I think he's mainly having like war flashbacks and stuff, and that's kind of why he's going nuts and killing these people. But it's just a very odd movie. I can't really think of another way to describe it than that. And I'm not going to get into any, I'm not going to spoil anything or anything like that. And we do get some good kills in this movie, I'll say that. Nothing that's just like over the top and crazy. And you do get some really nice scenes with the crocodile, who is just kind of the crocodile. The crocodile is just kind of a looming sort of presence in the whole movie, and I think that that's really cool. Even though it doesn't really do much, in terms of kind of, if you read the plot synopsis, you would think the crocodile plays a much larger role in the movie, but it's more kind of in the background and just kind of this looming sort of thing that's there. And of course it does, he does feed some people to it, or some things and stuff like that in this movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but it is just this kind of this weird place, and I think it just, I don't know, it's just really odd. You kind of have to just watch it and see what's going on. It has a very grindhouse feel to it. It's like an old kind of drive-in type movie. There's Judd there and Marilyn Burns, but it just kind of has that old grindhouse feel to it. And like I said, this this coming off of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Tobe Hopper was, I feel like he was definitely wanting to do something kind of experimental, and I'm glad he got back into horror. Also, I forgot to mention Kyle Richards, who would later be in Halloween, was in this. I just noticed that on the back, so I'm sorry, but she was in this as well, but smaller role, again, and like I said, this was right before Halloween, but anyway, I think that I think it's a great film. It's a fun little watch. I just watched it today. Me and my wife did, and she thought it was kind of odd. Some of the writing is really weird, and again, it's kind of, I think, again, Tobe Hopper was trying to capture that magic again, from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He was hot off that, but I think he still did fine. Like, this very much has that same, and I believe he did the music in this movie too, and it's very eerie. The music is really creepy. Again, it's kind of in the same vein as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's kind of just a lot of noises and weird instruments and things like that. So he used kind of that same style of directing and editing and stuff like that. It very much feels like a Tobe Hopper movie, and it feels very different from the movie that would follow this, which I also just talked about recently, The Funhouse. But anyway, having said all that, I think I'm going to rate this one. Let me see. I'll do this one a 3.5 out of 5, because it's not one that I throw on all the time, but I do really, really enjoy it. It is a fun little. It's just an odd movie, and it is kind of it's paced kind of strangely. And it's, I don't know, it's odd, but the whole vibe about it is really interesting, and I like the aesthetic of it. The location, and it has a lot of really heavy kind of just bizarre atmosphere behind it, so I really like that. Just the old hotel out in the middle of nowhere run by the crazy guy who owns a crocodile. I think that's cool. I really like the dated crocodile effects. I think that's really, really cool. I'm glad they added it in there. One other thing I'll say too is this movie reminded me, not reminded me, but I don't know if it's because I was just hot off of watching the movie X, which I will talk about that as well. But that movie has, I'm not going to spoil anything, but that movie has some scenes with an alligator, and I believe it takes place in Texas and just has that old kind of grindhouse feel. So I watched this right after I saw the movie X, and so I kind of, a lot of people I talked about this too. I compared it to that, but it's nothing like that at all. But I guess you could say it has similar themes, but I guess a double feature could be thrown in there at some point in time, if you want to do that, like a modern film and a flashback, or something like that. But I definitely recommend watching it, especially if you can find this DVD. This is a really good DVD version of it. Like I said, done by Dark Sky Films. I like it. Like I said, I got it really cheap on eBay a while ago. There's a Blu-ray, a version of this, and I think there's a 4K of it. I don't know. I only own like one 4K 4K disc or whatever you want to call it. I only own about pretty much one of those, and I don't really buy them. But this one, like I said, I got it really cheap. And honestly, I feel like if I watched it on Blu-ray, I don't know if I would like it as much, just because some movies I think look better on DVD just because they're not as clear. But I don't really get too deep into that. Like, I don't care as long as it doesn't look like complete dog shit. Like, I'm perfectly fine just watching it. However, I don't care. But this, I really like kind of the way that this looks whenever I watch this DVD release of it, because it is very very clear. You know, it's not, you know, super, I mean, it's still grainy, but it's not so grainy that you can't see, you know, and stuff like that. But I just think it has a really nice, you know, that kind of adds to the whole kind of feeling of the movie. You know, it's just kind of a really dirty feeling, kind of gross movie. You know, you really feel that you're in that kind of gross hotel, you know, with all these scummy people. But so anyway, I just wanted to talk about that movie, you know, pretty soon, especially coming off the other ones I just talked about. I probably should have done them in order, I guess, done this one before the Funhouse. And I'm not done with Tobe Hopper, but I just wanted to get this one out of my system just because I've been watching a few. So definitely check it out. I highly recommend this one if you're a Tobe Hopper fan, if you're just a fan of old kind of grindhouse drive-in style movies. You know, check this one out. It's a fun one. Definitely recommend it. So until next time, stay tuned for the next video, and goodbye.